I feel such great power when I do that. It's getting a whole sanctuary full of Unitarian Universalists to quiet down is just, that's a task right there. Welcome. Welcome. My name is Tony Fisher. I serve this congregation as minister, and I'm so excited to see all of you here today with smiles. Nice to have all of you out there on the pavilion. Nice to see Janet Hoffman somewhere nearby so she can come right up here and be ready. I'd like to give a little shout out especially, well, first of all, to our organizers for our event last night. We had a wonderful silent auction and social event last night, so thanks to all those who made that possible. No results yet, but we'll keep you informed about that. But I'd also like today to honor our Board of Trustees who have worked really hard over the past year to do the work of this congregation and keep us going. They do a great job. And if you're here, raise your hand or stand up. Elaine Cockcroft. Elaine is there. She's our president. Michael Rux is here. He's a member at large. Also, Michael Kirko is our treasurer. We have John Pipkin, not here. He's tired from last night. David Sleeper is out in the foyer. Anybody else here? No. Yes, Chris is. I didn't see Chris, but Chris Cowan is our treasurer, our secretary. They do a fabulous job, and I wish you'd give them a round of applause. Just as a reminder, at the end of this month, we have our annual meeting on Sunday after service on the 26th. And all members are really asked to be present immediately after the service for that meeting, where we'll elect a new group of officers. Many of them are overlapping. But anyway, thanks to them, and thanks to you for being here, and thanks to Janet Hoffman, our worship associate for today, for taking us forward from this moment.
Thank you, Tony, and good morning to all of you. We are so glad that everyone has joined us, whether you're here in the sanctuary, out on the pavilion, or you're watching live with Facebook Live at home. Anyway, please know that you are always welcome. We are a welcoming congregation, freely seeking intellectual and spiritual growth. We strive to create a larger community of peace, justice, and love. Here, we learn and grow together, and we try to live out our values in public. If you are new to the congregation, we are especially grateful that you've joined us and found us. Our hope is that you will feel welcome and that we can help you find ways to connect. And so now, let's take a deep breath, relax, and settle ourselves into this time of worship with the morning's prelude.
A nationally renowned guitarist and visual artist. Frank is with us for the second time now. He plays a concert on our pavilion next Saturday, and it's great to have Frank with us. The Prelude.
Up on the mountains, on the high timberline, lives a crooked old tree called the bristlecone pine. And the wind there is bitter, and it cuts like a knife. And it keeps that tree holding on for dear life. to tell when I die if I'm going to heaven or hell. When that time comes, it'll suit me just fine to rest at the feet of the bristlecone pine. As I would slowly return to the earth, what little of this body of mine could be worth. Well, I'd soon start to nourish the roots of the tree and hope they would partake in the essence of me. And who knows, but as the centuries turn, a small spark of me could continue to burn, just as long as the sun does continue to shine down upon the leaves of the bristlecone pine. And the way I have lived, there's no way to tell when I die if I'm going to heaven or hell. But when that time comes, it'll suit me just fine to rest at the feet of the bristlecone pine. Yes, to rest at the feet of the bristlecone pine. Yes, to rest at the feet of the bristlecone pine.
Thank you, Frank. Committed to respond to the call of a wounded world, we join together this day with loving hearts and hands and minds, embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth. We light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, new strength, new courage to create a world not of wealth, but of well-being, a world of new peace and abundance for all. As we give thanks for this earth, our shared and singular home, may we dedicate ourselves to its ongoing care, rising to the call deep within us and all around us. May we respond today and always with courage and with love. Please join in the sharing of our chalice lighting words. The words are on your order of service or on the screen. May this flame stir our hearts and remind us of our mission to be truly welcoming, to grow in mind and spirit, and to widen the circle of peace, justice, and love. And I hope you'll rise as you're willing or able and join us in singing our opening song this morning, "Oh, What a Beautiful Morning." The words will be on the screen. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. There's a bright golden haze on the meadow. The corn is as high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a wonderful feeling. Everything's going my way. All the sounds of the earth are like music. All the sounds of the earth are like music. The breeze is so busy it don't miss a tree. And an old weeping willow is laughing at me. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way. Oh, what a beautiful day. Please be seated. And thanks to Ann Roberts for playing for us this morning and our songs, and for that wonderful embellishment, too. Thank you very much. I am both excited and grateful to welcome Joan Benz to our service this morning. Joan is an active member of the congregation who serves on both our membership team and our Green Sanctuary Committee. She's a passionate advocate for Planet and our future. And in framing this service for me and now for you, she asks one long but important question. What if you could be a small part of the solution to decrease pollution, to protect our health, to advance environmental justice for historically overburdened people, plants, and animals, to create economic opportunity and sustainable green businesses, and to tackle the climate crisis without taking on significant time-consuming tasks? I hope you're all answering that in your own mind. But welcome, Joan, to our service. It's good to have you with us. And I know you have a wad of Kleenex here, so I hope that everyone understands Joan's sort of recovering from a upper respiratory infection and not COVID. So, thank you so much for being here, and it's been great to work with you on this. Yeah.
Thank you. And I just want to apologize ahead of time if I get into a coughing jag. I tested twice for COVID, but it's still just a really nasty virus. And you may not be able to hear me even though we've maximized the microphone. So if you can't, please raise your hand, and there's a portable microphone I could try to use. Okay. So, so let me ask you one more question.
Sure.
Like, what if you could do all of those things merely by just committing to the power of small actions by many people? Like, people are really concerned with accomplishing those goals. The sustainability of our planet's resources, biological and chemical, is really the greatest challenge that we face. We're already in the midst of the 6th mass extinction of birds, plants, animals, and ecosystems that the Earth has experienced. But for the very first time, that extinction is the result of human behavior. So similarly, the humane behavior of concerned individuals could reverse or at least mitigate against some of those horrific effects.
I think that's absolutely true. And what you brought us today is possibilities for action, but we also need to set the stage for that. So you and I talked about how climate deniers have been able to sort of create sort of a veil of doubt in some people's minds about the impact of human behavior on the climate. What's happening on this front, and why is it important to the bigger problem?
So one of President Biden's most ambitious goals is the elimination of carbon pollution from our power plants by 2035. Power plants account for, they're the second greatest producer of greenhouse gas emissions in the United States. And last year, only 40% of the energy produced in the energy sector was from clean energy. So it's been estimated and projected that if the investments from the Inflation Reduction Act could raise that to 66% of our energy production from clean sources by 2030. But if you also had very, very stringent enforcement of the pollution standards already set by the EPA, we could raise that another 10% to 76% of our energy being produced by clean energy sources by 2030, which is within striking distance of the 80% that we're hoping for.
So obviously, as you say, the Environmental Protection Agency is a critical piece of the puzzle here. And why is that?
Well, the EPA has already been told to control both our air and water pollution. And so we don't need to address Congress and try to get an already divided Congress to create more legislation. We can just require that the Biden administration mandate that there are enough funds and enough manpower to be able to, for them to actively actively do what they've already been mandated to do.
All right. So to be clear, the Environmental Protection Agency already has statutes, has mandates to approach some of these problems, but they don't have the resource to do so.
Right.
And so what can we do about that?
So what I'd like to highlight today is there's already an ongoing national campaign that has support from lots of prestigious organizations that we could all have an opportunity to be a part of. And so we have some slides that you can find. Okay, here's the one.
So I just want to, so this is from a website called actonclimate.com.
And that's listed on the back of your handouts today, your programs that you have. There are several websites that you can look at. But if you could go to this website, just take your time, go to the headers across the top, the blue headers, and there are drop-down boxes in each of those, and just explore the website. It says so much more than we can cover today. They give their action plan in great detail and all the different areas they want to address in order to encourage this. So carbon pollution obviously is one of the most important because CO2 production is the most common greenhouse gas. But also methane pollution is one of the, well, they have smog air quality standards. It's critical for things like this and problems with respiratory problems, asthma, and would save probably 20,000 lives a year.
The next slide, Sean. Daniel.
Yeah. The next, the soot and air quality standards. When you go to the website, there's a letter you can sign, which will be submitted by the website to the EPA. And the more signatures, the better, for them to understand that we really even want more stringent provisions than they currently have for soot pollution. It indiscriminately affects us all, but people of low income are more disadvantaged in the soot pollution. So it's really an environmental justice problem that we need to address. There are coal and ash standards. If coal ash is not disposed of correctly, it contaminates our water supplies, our soils. the mercury and toxic standards that they're asking to have high stringent requirements for. Mercury is especially awful for developing brains, for fetuses.
Next slide, Dan.
And there are power plant wastewater standards, obviously important for our water supplies. They also have
What's the Good Neighbor air quality plan?
the Good Neighbor air quality is interesting in that the federal regulation of the air that comes from neighboring states into states that have that aren't the contributors to that pollution but are affected by it, and so it helps regulate that.
Dan, next slide. So you talked about methane already and the power plant. So next slide, Dan. So there are also not only the power plants, but also other areas of our economy.
Yeah, I mean, these standards can also apply not only to power plants, which is such a big contributor, but also just to the industries in general. They just need to be sure that they use the highest standards.
So, and outside of the EPA, there are other actions that are part of this action plan on
There
on
are,
climate.
you know, they want to address like tail car pipe pollution and big motor trucks and transportation. Transportation's the #1 contributor to greenhouse gases in the United States, so they're working on that. And also just on things that economically would encourage investments in clean energy, like standards for appliances. And so if you go to the website, you'll see all of the different things they have listed in their action plans and how you can get involved
And it's
in
very
all
comprehensive.
of them.
I mean, I think that's the thing. It's a
Absolutely.
comprehensive group of things that we can sort of press our interests towards. And you know, one of the things is that we're not alone in doing this. So there are other.
Absolutely, and we
Dan,
have
you can show that next slide.
We have another slide about these are some of the groups that you're aware of that are supportive of all of these measures. And there's also a list when you go to the website of 200 organizations that are also coordinated with these measures. So it's not a small group of people. There's a lot of power in the small actions of many, many people.
Right. So, you know, we began this morning with the big question. What if you individually could be a part of the solution? And sometimes we don't act because we don't think that our small voice will make a difference. But I think adding our name to those large groups, plus the hundreds of other organizations, can make a difference. So we're putting that kind of pressure on.
Yeah, I think so, because really isn't the interconnected web one of the most essential elements of Unitarian Universalism? And you know, it's the power of all of us to encourage our friends, our neighbors, our families, our acquaintances to reach into that power of many small but important acts that we can all do. And that's really the only way that we're ever able to change things like this and to affect important change.
Yeah.
I have a hard time imagining how many caring people each of us know, and even harder imagining how many caring people all of them know. But I do think that each of us, if we depend on that interdependent web, can affect a change, especially in something as critical as this.
Right. So we have the power of our individual connections, and how else are we connected in terms of organizationally?
We have a small group here called Green Sanctuary that's connected to a couple other local groups. We have strong connections with Citizens Climate Lobby, which is a national organization of over 100,000 people who advocate for bipartisan legislation for climate change mitigation. We're also connected to a fledgling group called Interfaith Climate Change, which is trying to organize interfaith groups within the Naples community so that we have a little bit more power locally in trying to affect some of these changes. And thirdly, we are involved in CreateClimate.org, which is a national UU Green Sanctuary group.
Right. So that's actually the Green Sanctuary Program, and you can see on the wall over there that we are a Green Sanctuary congregation, meaning we've done some work in the past to show that we are conscious of the environment and things we do around this plant. We have our solar panels on the roof, which is a part of that. But also not only the Green Sanctuary Organization, but Unitarian Universalist Ministry for the Earth, which is a separate entity within Unitarian Universalism, and also the UU United Nations office. Those three groups sort of make up this CreateClimateJustice.net. So that's really an important group for us as well to dive into, and those links are on your order of service as well. So do some work there. So what is the specific ask today?
So after the service today on the pavilion, we have representatives with us from different local organizations that are here for you to ask questions about their particular interest in solving this problem. So I'd like to ask Joanne Womack to stand up now and to introduce these people and thank them for being with us here in the sanctuary today.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so I would like to introduce the people here that have come from near and far to meet with you out in the pavilion. Oh, thank you. And to let you know what they're doing and what you might be able to do with them to get involved with some of this work. So let me introduce them one at a time, and please stand when I say your name. So over here we have Gary Bromley. Gary, stand up, please. And he is with the Solar Co-op. And some of you may be very interested in the Solar Co-op. So meet with him. He's at the far end of the pavilion, and he'll tell you about it, okay? And next we have Kelly Krupp. And Kelly is with Guadalupe. And some of you have been to Guadalupe's resale shop, I think. And they do various things, but the resale shop is a wonderful place. I can't go in there without buying something. So we're glad to have you, Holly. And over here, we have 3 representatives from the Southwest Florida Reset Center. So if you would stand, Holly Ruin, Linda Seacrest, and Liz Taggart. And Linda Seacrest is the president of that group, correct? Right. And they do a lot of good for us, especially they were involved with the Good Neighbor program that some of you may have heard about, where we met with some of the Miccosukee people and tried to form new relationships. So that's an important thing. And then finally, we have Jack Ubinger. And Jack is the co-leader of the Collier Lee chapter of Citizens Climate Lobby. And he's also on the far end. So please get around to all the groups and meet everybody. Oh, and there's one more. Oh, wait a minute. Janet, I can't leave you out. Janet Hoffman is here with the Naples Native Plant Society, and she brought some plants with her out there. She also has Louise Cromwell. She's out there, and Louise has something really interesting. It's called Grow Your Own National Park. Doesn't that sound like a great idea? And also out there is Sue Savage, and she's here with petitions that you can sign that are about getting an amendment on our next election about everyone has a right to clean water. Thank you.
Thanks, Joanne.
Thanks, Joanne. And also, there will be sign-up sheets outside, right? for people who, it's not for you to commit to another committee or to commit your time or your money, but for you just to sign if you're interested in learning more and participating in this sharing of information that we all need to do so that we can be a community that supports efforts against climate change. And so please sign it. If you do, though, want to give just even a little bit of time, put an asterisk by your name, because we certainly could use it. And there will be some computers out there, if we can get them working, if we don't have any technological problems with it. And if you're interested in signing that suit letter so that it can be sent on to the EPA, we're going to have the computers set up for that. If you're not comfortable with doing that now and want to go to the website, actonclimate.com, instead today or this week and do it from home, that's fine too. But we're going to try to have it available for you out on the.
Right, and if you're online this morning and want to find out more, just send an email to info@uunaples.org, and we'll get that email and send you out some of the things that you can think about. And of course, go to that website, actonclimate.org. I think you can read about their purposes and their goals. And I think, for me, I think we'd all be pretty sure that most of you would want to sort of act on this. This is really a simple thing to do. Put your name to a letter to the EPA, adding your name to a lot of those organizations and people around the country. And we need to use, as Joan said, our connections, our interdependence, our interdependent web to make this all happen. So is there anything else that you want to?
Just want to thank you all for being caring people, and also I would just like to say I'm really proud to be a UUCGN member.
Thank you, Joan. Thanks so much for your work. And Joanne, thank you. Joan put in a lot of work to bring that all to you, and I think the folks out in the pavilion will be grateful for your visit. I know we're a great social group, but take a little time and go and visit a few of those tables. And now let's sort of sit in some stillness and join together in our centering hymn, Find a Stillness. And I'll lead us in singing. Find a stillness, hold a stillness, let the stillness carry me. Find the silence, hold the silence, let the silence carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. Seek the essence, hold the essence, let the essence carry me. Let me flower, help me flower, watch me flower, carry me. In the Spirit, by the Spirit, with the Spirit giving power, I will find true harmony. We come together every week with our individual joys and sorrows and our collective joys and sorrows. Grateful for all those who are here to provide us with information, so our joy is in that. And sorrowful for that we have to actually be continually vigilant on the subject of our environment. If you have a personal joy or sorrow that you'd like to share this morning, something not of events or other things, but something that you're holding in your heart, I invite you to raise your hand, and I'll bring you the microphone. State your name and briefly what's in your heart. And if Joanne will fish out that microphone, I'll be ready to that. Joys and sorrows.
My name is Ann Roberts, and last Monday, my brother David Wells committed suicide. He was wounded in Vietnam. Of course, we'll never know anything for sure, but he was a wonderful guy. He leaves behind 3 great kids, a wife. I have a large, extended, loving family, and of course, we're all deeply saddened. But I have to say, not shocked, because he had a troubled life. Thank you for your support.
And thanks, Ann, for sharing. And you know that we're with you.
Good morning, all. My name is Carl Krafchek, and my joy is sitting right beside me, Evelyn Kuntz, my wife. On May 30th, Memorial Day, we will be married 19 years. And she has been my strength for the last 19 years. I've gone through a number of medical problems, and she has been there all the time to help me, guide me, and be there. And she has kept the records, and I can't say everything that she means to me. And by the way, on our anniversary, which is May 30th, everybody can take the day off.
Thank you, Carl. Anyone else?
My name is Marcia Gunther, and I want to put a plug in for the Green Sanctuary Committee that is here. I have become a member of it, and we have explored college courses online. We've explored pamphlets and booklets, and it's been a very enlightening experience for me. So if you are at all interested in becoming more green, join up.
So I'll take that as a personal joy of being part of that group. Recognizing, one more over here, sorry.
Thank you. Good morning. I've been fortunate over several years to be a house guest of Susan Music, and I indeed find this to be a very warm and welcoming congregation. Last evening, she took me for a stroll through the garden, and I am amazed at what has been created. It definitely has taken thought and work from many people, and you really have a gem on your grounds.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dick Sharp, and since we're talking about the environment, I just thought I'd mention that you all have, if you who have homes, if you check with the electric company and you check with available energy that's green energy, I have saved about 50% on my bill up north, and I don't know what I'll save down here because I just did it a little bit ago. But I think that's a marvelous way to go green without getting solar panels on your roof. You know, you just buy it.
That could be a joy as well. Recognizing, well, thank you for all that sharing, and also recognizing that there are so many joys and so many sorrows that are being held in our hearts in this room, in this moment. We honor each and every one of you here and your journeys through your days and weeks. And so let's settle ourselves into a time of meditation. As Janet will share words by Jay Woolen, who now serves in Sarasota, Florida.
When I look up into the night sky, I am in awe of all that is. There, in a faraway galaxy, a star has died, yet it is still bright for my eyes to see and make a wish upon. When I walk in the ocean, I feel the waves rush through my feet, and I feel a certain peace with the world. I peer out into the endless horizon, knowing they came from a place beyond where I can see. When I sit around the fire, I feel its warmth enter me without ever touching me, and I feel safe from the unknown. Wherever I am, I take in a breath, and I know I am in the present moment. All these wonders that move us and make us feel alive and make us dream and make us wonder, let us protect them so that my children, our children, everybody's children, my grandchildren, our grandchildren, everybody's grandchildren, for generations upon generation, will also have a chance to look beyond the horizon and marvel at the wonder of existence and continue to be nourished by our home. Now, let's take a moment of silence to think about these words. Thank you.
one back and show that quote again, maybe? Thank you. Gaylord Nelson, whose quote we just saw on the screen, was a Wisconsin politician and environmentalist who was instrumental in the founding of Earth Day in 1970. And the quote echoes many such statements across the years that call us to consider future generations as we make our individual and collective choices today and every day. Another way of putting it is that we can rant and rail all we want about climate deniers, but if we ourselves are not being proactive about our environmental concerns, we are not doing any more than they. And collectively, we're putting our children and our children's children at risk. And still, we struggle with this. Biologist and environmentalist Ursula Goodenow wrote a number of years ago, "Spiritual leaders have for millennia cautioned us against a culture of greed and consumerism, but to little avail. We decry our materialism and continue to practice it. I continue to practice it. Why? Because the guy next door does. He's got 3 cars. Why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't my kids wear what other kids are wearing? We all know what we should be doing: recycle, restraint, redistribution, reorientation. Yet we label such lifestyles as idealistic, futile, and yes, threatening to the lifestyles to which we aspire, to which we have achieved. Notwithstanding countless daily acts of human kindness and generosity, our overarching cultural ecology is hallmarked by fear and greed, neither of which is a promising springboard for orderliness and rationality." End quote. Orderliness and rationality are critical components to a comprehensive solution to our environmental issues, but so is a strong and consistent connection to our core values, coupled to a sense of hope. We have been so long subjected to a continuous stream of bad news about the planet to the point where we don't want to look anymore. We find it hard to envision a viable future. We engage in negative thinking and shy away from engaging the topic because it's too depressing. I've been watching our Progressive Voices lecture series over the last number of years, and every time an environmental speaker comes, attendance dips. The solution seems to be out of our hands and into the hands of government and big business, who we don't trust to choose sustainable future over present-day profit. And if that's what we think, guess what will happen? A number of years ago, the Atlantic Monthly published an article suggesting that we needed a new story, an overarching and inspiring narrative for our world that would be rooted in concrete human experience and definable in terms of unambiguous and widely shared human values. And since that time, a number of options have been put forward. I'm aware of maybe 5 or 6. I was looking in preparation for the service. One that caught my attention this week was an organization called M for Thee, Muslims for the Environment. They provide one possible vision, and their maxim is, "On the trail of the honeybee." And they urge us to follow the model of this amazing creature's gentleness and character and conduct toward the environment. Not only are honeybees good stewards of their local habitat, carrying pollen from plant to plant, they do so through a commitment to their community, and at the same time create a divine substance that is enjoyed by other creatures. Like the amazing honeybee, we must aspire to be meaningful contributors and produce positive results. M for Thee, Muslims for the Environment. The great thing is we don't have to wait for humankind to evolve into the kind of organism that bees are, we alone can make cultural choices, and they can be made quickly. We don't have to give up all of our individualism to make a commitment to the whole. We can find a meaningful role in the work that needs to be done, and we can do it consistently. If all we can do is advocacy, then let's advocate away. We can lean more intentionally into the positive values we espouse and less into negative think. We need to learn to fear greed and reward idealism. We need to embrace the value of universal love that has been handed down by our universalist forebears, and the belief in the unity of all things that Unitarian women and men have been talking about for centuries. We need to keep moving towards the ideals of interdependence, equity, and generosity, and then mix in those qualities of rationality and orderliness, matching thought and deed, and then maybe we'll start moving somewhere. Gaylord Nelson once suggested that we consider our economy as a wholly owned subsidiary of the environment, not the other way around. That we consider our economy as a wholly owned subsidiary of the environment and not the other way around. Which brings forward the kind of practical solution that Jones offers this morning, which simply calls for the implementation of statutes already on the books that aim to shift the balance between economy and ecology. When we join our voices to hundreds and thousands of other people and other organizations, and then follow that up with continued pressure for implementation, we are doing something. We also need to embrace locally the kind of pragmatism that's being practiced in other parts of the country, where government, business, and social groups are working together to envision solutions to environmental concerns that balance present and future needs. So a great example of this was our Progressive Voices lecture from a couple of weeks ago, Galen Truer, who holds the unique title of Resilience Coordinator for Strategic Outcomes in Miami-Dade County. Galen shared with us some of the really interesting collaborative work that's happening there in response to the impact of climate change on the East Coast. The ability to match research-based modeling and community-based visioning was exciting, and with the goal being sustainable, climate-resilient policy. It's been a while now, but this congregation went through its own visioning work in 2015, and one of the agreed-upon tenets was that we continue to be a model of Earth stewardship, knowing that how we choose to live every day will positively impact those who follow us into this space. We are called to consider the Earth and our impact on it in every decision we make, especially with regard to our physical plant and the property we own. Another way that we practice good stewardship is that we acknowledge the reality that marginalized communities are often more severely impacted by environmental issues. So we choose to partner with those communities, to be present in times of need, as we did in working with both the NAACP and the Pride Center to serve communities along the Gordon River following Hurricane Ian. We don't have to look any further than right here to gain inspiration for this work. We can come here on a Sunday morning and sit with folks who care about us and about the wonderful world we can see outside our window. We have a haven in the Memorial Garden, an incredible gift of color and texture and variety given to us by past and present members of this community. The issue of climate change can seem overwhelming at times, but to give it up as lost is no better than denying the problem exists. All we need to do is to match our appreciation of this world, this wonderful world, with our values and abilities, and get to work so that what we enjoy now will be available for our children and our children's children and for generations to come.
As we take time to reflect on today's words and music, let's also take time to show our gratitude for this community and all that it does. This morning's offering will be greatly received. Please consider sending a contribution today if you're online. The information that you need to donate is on the screen.
We're talking about the environment here today, and most of my life I've been a visual artist, and I wrote this next song standing out in the middle of the Everglades one night in the moonlight, painting in the moonlight. And I do that sometimes. I know it sounds crazy, but I stand out in the middle of the night in the moonlight, but there's nothing that can make you feel the power of nature like that. And this song started coming to me in the middle of the night one night. I was painting, and I realized the words were coming to me. I had to figure out a way of getting them down, so I wrote them on my iPhone and emailed them back to myself just to save them. So there's another use for an iPhone. It seemed contradictory to be out in the middle of the Everglades, working on my iPhone while I was painting a painting, but it all seemed to come together and work. There's a warm southern breeze and it's gently blowing. The night is young, yet the stars are bright. And the moon is full and it's slowly rising, reflecting underwater like diamonds in the night. There's magic in the moonlight, holding you in my arms so close and tight, as that silver moon shines down upon us. Well, it makes me feel that everything's gonna be alright. Rippling reflections in the water punctuate the magic of the night, while a symphony of sound breaks the silence as the darkness begins to change to light. There's magic in the moonlight, hold you in my arms so close and tight, as that silver moon shines down upon us. Yes, it makes me feel that everything's going to be alright. Just listen to the sound of the whippoorwill, or the songbirds singing at early light, or the harmony of the crickets in their love call, is the way I'd love to be with you tonight. There's magic in the moonlight, hold you in my arms so close and tight, as that silver moon shines down upon us. Makes me feel that everything's gonna be alright. You know, I swear that there's magic in the moonlight, that shimmering light of silver blue. Well, it makes me want to put my arms around you, to hold you close as only lovers do. There's magic in the moonlight, hold you in my arms so close and tight, as that silver moon shines down upon us. It makes me feel that everything's gonna be alright. Yes, it makes me feel that everything's gonna be alright.
Here are a few reminders of what's happening at UUCGN before we sing again. After the service today on the pavilion, our guests will be out there to provide information to share with you and to answer any of your questions. Also, please take time to use one of the computers if they're working to add your name to what many people and organizations are petitioning to the EPA for them to do the job that they are mandated to do. Progressive Voices concludes this Wednesday, March 8th, with Rob Boston, who is the National Senior Advisor to Americans United for the Separation of Church and State. He will be talking about religion in public education in America. Tickets for the Frank Corso concert are available. That's next Saturday, March 11th. They'll be on sale out in the pavilion. And I'm sure you enjoyed very much what you heard today, so this is a chance to hear more next Saturday. And last year's event with Frank was a wonderful evening.
We're going to do the ticket sales out front, as you guys
Oh.
because there's what's happening out there. So come see us right out in front of you.
Okay, so out in the lobby for tickets, please. All right, UU's Team Against Racism and Oppression is inviting all of you to attend a pilot workshop entitled Reparations, Questions, Considerations, and Conversations. Workshop participants through multimedia will consider the rationale for reparations, the pros and cons, the basis for racial wealth gap, and reparatory actions. This will be a 3-hour workshop, which is free, to begin at 10 a.m. on March 25th here. Refreshments will be served, and you can register out on the pavilion or by contacting office@uunaples.org. Also today, down at Menaker Foyer, there is a new exhibit with a female focus to honor Women's History Month, and it's beautiful. Information on all these and much more can be found in our newsletter, the Sunday News, or in any of the week's email blasts. And now, let's rise in body or spirit to sing our closing song, What a Wonderful World. And the words will be on the screen.
Words aren't on the screen. Okay. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and you, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white, the bright, blessed day, the dark, sacred night, and I think to myself, what a wonderful world. The colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people going by. I see friends shaking hands, saying, how do you do? They're really saying, I love you. I hear babies cry, I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Yes, I think to myself, what a wonderful world. Like the cosmic dust following after a great Perseid meteor, we are the living remnants of time and all that has come to pass in its wake, briefly shining lights on the way to eternity. We are only visible to the naked eye for an instant. Take this moment to shine like the stardust you are. May the light of our time on earth shine and bless the world and each other and for generations to come. Go in love, go in peace. Have a wonderful day.